Dear Mom, the journey has still not ended. I have decided to travel back to Bombay by road instead of flying back from New Delhi. I don't really know why, after a long and tiring journey spanning 5,000 kilometers, I feel the need to add another 1,500 tiring kilometers. Perhaps the reason is in this feeling of sheer hopelessness which grips me, and the feeling of powerlessness and the ability to bring about a change in what I have seen. The pain that some women suffer in a single day of their existence is perhaps greater than any pain I might face in my entire life, just because they are women. When I left Bombay 14 days ago with Anu, Vicky, Nutan and Ginger to explore and study the status of women in India, I was in high spirits. I had absolutely no idea what was in store for us.
You don't get anything except in Bombay.
24 hours later, we reached Shivpuri in Madhya Pradesh. It was really late at night. The next morning, as we drove through the sleepy town, we came upon a town fair. Stalls were being set up for the sale of trunks, like those that I recall, being loaded and unloaded at weddings, perhaps carrying dowry. We stopped by to generate a discussion on the issue with a few salesmen. They were of differing faiths. Some were Hindus, some were Muslims.
We give dowry to the girl, while amongst the Muslims, the boys give to the girl. Yes.
At the time of talaq, the boy has to pay the amount of meher to the girl.
If goods worth rupees 50,000 are given, the meher should also be fixed at rupees 50,000. This is today's position. But according to our religion, meher should be minimum so that it could be paid on the marriage night. For example, rupees 786.
See, according to the law, meher should be paid at the time of divorce.
No. What do you say?
Yes.
No, you don't know what you're talking.
No. You are talking law. I'm talking about Sharia.
So you mean to say that you go according to the Shariat, not the law?
No, madam, it is according to Shariat, I tell you.
We moved on after the discussion, and I was reminded of Shah Banu. Remember the case, Mom? About 14 years ago, a Muslim woman, Shah Banu, was abandoned by her husband to fend for herself and her children with no means to do so, because her settlement was a paltry sum, fixed at the time of marriage as a mere formality, but valid as such by Muslim religious law, the Shariat. She fought a legal case. The Supreme Court of India upheld her appeal for alimony, but the Shariat denied its validity, because God's law is greater than man's. If the poor woman and her children are starving, so be it. When we met the Imam in Lucknow, we asked him about the Shah Banu case.
Exactly. It ruled that once the husband gives divorce, then it's the responsibility of the husband to take care of the children as well as the wife for their entire life. And they were making it obligatory. So that was like obstructing the Islamic law. So then we came out against it, and we said that, you cannot force your own law upon Muslims.
He said that the Shariat, or the Muslim personal law, couldn't be defied. He underlined the common man's beliefs. Lucknow is a large modern city, but mindsets have not changed. We met Samira. She was the first girl in her college who dared to wear Western clothes. The price she paid was heavy and meted out by her own peers. They tore the clothes on her person and mangled her bike.
Jeans and t-shirt. I had my cycle totally broken up, and my cycle was bashed up by the boys.
I strongly believe that Samira's humiliation is no less than that of Shah Banu's or Taslima Nasreen's. The famous activist writer from Bangladesh, who dared to voice her revolutionary opinions through her writing. She paid the price too, and is now forced by fundamentalists to live in exile, to leave her beloved country. I had attended a meeting held to honor her in Bombay recently when she came to release her latest book.
My poems also concerned of everyday lives of our people, particularly women folk, who suffers a lot because of patriarchy and religious jealousy. Unfortunately, my government, instead of taking action against this fundamentalist issue, arrest warrant against me. The rest is for no.
So why are women like Taslima chased away by their own countrymen? Is it because men are afraid of a strong role model for their own women? Or are they afraid to confront truths about themselves and fear therefore the loss of control over their women? What world is this, Mom? A woman must maintain parda for her own dignity and respect, said Rukhsana of Lucknow. She refused to face the camera, though I did cheat with my VHS camera, Ma. She feared her husband and father. Both are against exposure of women, she said. Her father was even against girls stepping out for the purpose of education, like schooling. She was the most devout Muslim lady we met, yet she felt guilty that she was not doing enough. She wished she could follow Islam more closely. I asked the Imam why a woman couldn't be an Imam, or call the azan from a mosque like himself.
When it comes to leading namaz, or calling azan and doing all the other religious deeds, well, she could not do it. Well, because for several reasons, it would take some time to me to elaborate those reasons. One of the reasons is that
he was quiet, too quiet.
You know that in Islam.
What can he say? Ignore the degradation that women of his community have to face? What is it that cages the Imam and his ilk? Commitment to faith or commitment to gender? The masculine gender, which frames and defines law for the women of his community. We tend to think of the Muslims as prone to fanaticism. Ironically, Hindus can be equally fanatic. Shweta, an educated 26-year-old Hindu, eloped to marry Farhan, who is Muslim. She took the precaution of making a statement before a magistrate that she was married of her own free will. Consequently, her parents filed a case of abduction against Farhan. As her statement was filed prior to the abduction complaint, it was considered ineffective. What ensued was horrifying. As the girl's family is well connected in Lucknow, they managed to subvert the law and order machinery to suit their convenience.
This casteism that comes in, even if you don't want to help, it's a Brahmin girl marrying a Muslim boy.
An arrest warrant was put out against the boy, who now had to flee the city with his new wife. His family was also in hiding, their home ransacked, their possessions all attached.
I wanted that my 164 statement should be taken over. I have not been kidnapped. I have married him with my own free will, and that the FIR, if there's a false FIR, should be quashed.
They stayed away from their own home on the run for 4 months before they managed to obtain help. To prove that she had not been kidnapped, Shweta had to file her statement once more. But how? Because no magistrate in Lucknow was ready to accept her statement. Help came in the form of a messiah, Subhashini Ali, who put them in touch with women's organizations. These groups compelled the magistrate in Lucknow to take her statement. He did so, but then declared her mentally unstable and sent her to a remand home.
Order that I should be sent to the Nari Niketan just because I am living with them for past 3 months. So I am under immense influence and I am in no position to give a statement just now. So I should be sent to the Nari Niketan.
Fortunately, Shweta was freed in hours, again due to the powerful intervention of women's organizations. 3 days after that, we met the couple, apprehensive of the future. When would they finally be able to return home? Subhashini Ali also took us to a village 40 kilometers away from Kanpur to face another bizarre reality.
ये राजेंद्र है और इनकी जो पत्नी
This is Rajendra
और इनका लड़का
and his wife, who was Sia Dulari, and his son Surender.
जात की और इन लोगों के बिल्कुल बगल
There is another girl from the Yadav caste who was their neighbor.
जब वो भागे तो पहले तो
On 30th June, they ran away.
उन्होंने इन लोग सबको राजेंद्र
When they eloped, the girl's family beat the boy's family and threw them out of the village
सबको बहुत मारा
till the couple was found.
सबको गांव के बाहर कर दिया और कहा कि अब तुम लोग आना नहीं जब तक कि वो लड़का लड़की न मिल जाए.
They sent the father to look for his son and locked the poor old woman inside her own house. They would then enter her house with the help of a ladder every night and torture her.
She was taken every night from here upstairs to their house. They tortured her, beat her, and God knows what all they did to her. In the morning, they used to leave her back.
सुबह फिर डाल जाते थे.
Her pathetic cries for help were heard, but not heeded.
And on the 8th day, she was burnt alive, here, on this place.
Finally, she was burnt alive. The higher your caste, the mightier you are, Mom. That is the horrific reality. Sia Dulari's sin was that she was both poor and of lower caste. Burnt alive after 8 days of humiliation and torture because her son dared to woo a girl from a higher caste. As we talked with the village folk and her devastated husband, we felt a menacing sense of fear in the silence of the crowd. We fled. Unaware of the horrors awaiting us in Varanasi, our next destination. Widows have been sent to Varanasi, one of our holy cities, for decades. Why, I asked. To attain salvation, to await death. Dying in a holy place is considered a blessing, a convenient reason for families to abandon a hapless widow to a strange, new place. Thrown at the mercy of the elements, these poor women live in appalling conditions.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama.
In our country, a man who loses his wife is immediately remarried. He needs a woman to look after his children and home. But it is against the Hindu culture and religion for a woman to remarry. She can only gain salvation and await death next to the Ganges, the holy river, far away from where she can cast her shadow of bad omen once again upon her family. The innocence of young virgin widows in Rajasthan pierced a fierce pain through the heart. Some had never even seen their husbands before they were thrust into widowhood as child brides. A woman is widowed, she is nothing. Nothing from then on, not even a person. A man who loses his wife to death loses nothing. He simply gets another one. Sarita Jain lives in a village near Jaipur. Her brother sold her to a widower. Her tasks as a wife were those of an unpaid servant. This tender young bride looked after not only his needs, but also after his mother's and his children. Then he abandoned her, leaving her to be physically tortured by his grown-up children. Not surprisingly, she went insane. Then she was thrown out onto the streets because they didn't need her anymore. She was just an extra mouth to feed. Sarita told us that her family and her husbands all belong to the same faith. They are Jains, and Jainism is against any form of violence, even the killing of an insect. She can't believe that the status of a woman in this family is far below the status of an insect. Ram Babu works for India's largest NGO, the Voluntary Health Association of India. He told us about a district in Rajasthan called Dholpur. This cluster of 15 villages has not registered the birth of a single girl child in the last 15 years.
You will be surprised to know that not a single girl till the age of 15 years exists in 15 villages. You tell me, how is that possible?
How can that be humanly possible, Mom? Coincidence or deliberate? Can women of 15 villages for 15 years produce only boys? No. So do we assume foul play? Then there is the other crime perpetuated upon women by men, the centuries-old tradition of sati. Ram Babu and his older brother took us to a sati temple. It belongs to their family. It is the spot where their great-grandmother committed sati 100 years ago, where she was burnt alive on her husband's funeral pyre. This highly educated family holds the family sati in high reverence and asks her blessings in regular prayer. The older brother, the head of the family, said he would be proud of any woman in his family should she have the strength to choose sati even now.
We have a spirit of a feeling of reverence to these ladies who were so much attached.
It is a woman's right of choice, her love for her husband, and nobody has the right to stop her.
होने को कभी किसी ने मना नहीं किया और कभी किसी ने promote भी नहीं किया. It was just at the will of the lady.
He had his logic worked out between sati and suicide. Can you believe this? Our film ended here, but our journey continues.
have lots of great images.
I think of Samira who had her shirt torn, of Ahmed who claimed that India is a male-dominated country, of the Imam who said that nobody can defy the Shariat, of Rukhsana who believes that Islam is the best way of life to follow. I think of Subhashini who is fighting against the odds, of Farhan and Shweta who wonder when they can go back to their hometown, of Sia Dulari who lost her precious life. And then I think of the helpless old widows who have spent their lives in pathetic conditions. I think back to when Ram Babu told me about Dholpur with its 0 girl child in 15 years, of images of mosques and temples, religious ceremonies and marriages, of women and men in overpopulated crowded streets, and the silence of the ancient walls. I also remember having read in the newspaper this morning that a 6-year-old girl was married off to a 10-year-old boy. Isn't it banned by the law? The front pages of newspapers can cry foul all they want. Nothing changes, nobody does anything. It is all sanctioned in the name of religion. The boundaries of religion are porous. Anything can slip through. What about me? Who am I? I am Indian. But do I recognize the India I see? Where do I belong? Questions I ask myself. And I think the answer is that I am your daughter, Mom. My eyes fill with tears as I thank you for doing such a good job with my upbringing, for fighting the odds, for molding me as an individual with a distinct identity, for my ability and the freedom to make choices. Thank you for the economic, moral, and educational strengths. It must have been tough, Mom. But I am who I am because you made me so. Thank you, Mom. I love you.